In a world where carbs are your enemy, you need one man to help you fight your battles. That man is Jimmy.
Combating nutrition disinformation and general bull. It's Jimmy Rants. JimmyRants.com.
What's up, you guys? Welcome back to another Instagram Live, and we're here with another episode of Jimmy Rants. JimmyRants.com is the website, and if you want to engage live in the content, you got to go follow me over on Instagram Live. I'm at Living Low Carb Man, LIVINLOWCARBMAN. Once you're there, you can engage live, just like all these people are doing right now. Hey guys, what's up? Thanks for being here today on Jimmy Rants. If you missed the live, you can watch it on replay for up to 24 hours. After 24 hours, poof, it disappears. You'll have to go check it out then on YouTube. And we embed all of the videos from YouTube onto JimmyRants.com. So you can just go right there to see all the latest episodes. Or if you hop on YouTube, just type in a keyword, Jimmy Rants, you will find the show. Finally, the best of the best moments of this here show, we got a podcast for it. Go check out the Jimmy Rants podcast. It's on Apple Podcasts and Stitcher. And all of these links, again, you guys, are at JimmyRants.com. Today's Jimmy Rants, we're still on fasting. And we're going to be on fasting for a little while longer. So if you've been following me over the past few days, you know that I issued what I'm calling hashtag water fasting challenge. And it's going to be for 7 days that I am asking people to commit to at least attempting to do a water and salt only fast. And when I put out this challenge, it was more to help me prepare for what I'm about to undertake during my sabbatical. I am going to try, you guys, to do this thing called alternate week fasting, where I fast for 7 days and then I feast, eat food for 7 days. And when I have the food, it's going to be all meat, salt, and water. And then when I'm fasting, it's salt and water and electrolytes. So what was designed to be something to help me prepare for my sabbatical strategy, so many of you guys wanted to join in. So we have to date, as of this Jimmy Rants episode, over 1,800 people doing this extended fast. And for many of you, this is the first time you've ever gone more than intermittent fasting. And I think it's admirable. You should be very proud of yourself for being willing to and wanting to try to do something like this. Because quite frankly, it's not for the faint of heart to go on a fast for 7 days. And in the midst of sharing all about this, I have had people write to me or they'll make comments on the YouTube video or comments on my Facebook or Instagram pages of, well, all you people doing that fasting, yeah, you go ahead and do that, but it's just not for me. And of course, when you try to pry a little bit deeper, they start bringing out the excuses. And so what I want to talk about here today is making excuses for not trying a 7-day fast means you're not ready yet. And I want to hear from you guys. Share some of the excuses that maybe you yourself have and or that you've heard from other people, because I want to address all of these excuses, because at the end of the day, can I just be honest and blunt, which is what I do here on Jimmy Rants? Can I just be honest and blunt with you? If you are making excuses as to why you can't do any given thing, then you've already failed. You've already reached the conclusion that you don't want to see whatever benefits you would get from whatever thing you're doing. And in this case, we're talking about fasting for 7 days. And it's not this thing that's going to be easy, by no means. Hopefully you're hearing that loud and clear with all this prep work I'm doing for you guys, getting you in the right mindset and giving you strategies about including salt when you're doing it and electrolyte type of supplement type things to help you, making sure you're adequately hydrated. But I'm hearing all of these excuses. One of the biggest ones I've heard so far, by the way, is the hunger thing. And I understand people that have never fasted before, they don't understand how hunger is different during a fast. Because obviously, if you stop eating, your body is going to respond of, hello, dummy, feed me food. And so most people don't get beyond that initial knocking where the body is trying to tell them, okay, we normally have had food by now, please give us food. When you get beyond that part is when the magic of fasting happens. But everybody's focused on hunger, hunger, hunger. In fact, one lady said, I'm a teacher. I can't stand up in front of my students and be lethargic and be weak and be hungry and irritable. A lot of people say, I don't want to be hangry. Can I just tell you, none of that is based on fact. None of that, in my experience, has shown to be true. And I talked about this in the previous video. Day 2 is hard. And day 2, you're going to have to really salt up, water up, electrolyte up, just to make sure that you get through that. But once you're beyond day 2 of a 7-day fast, it's the beautiful part of the fast. Day 3 is also a little bit hard for some people, but once you get beyond 72 hours of an extended fast, is the pay dirt for getting through that first 48 to 72 hours. It's the last four or 5 days of a extended fast that are the most beautiful. And I want you guys to get there. But all these people, it reminds me of the people who say they can't do keto. All these people, they start keto and they don't, properly do it the correct way and aren't replenishing water and salt and all the things that happen to give them the so-called keto flu. People say, well, keto sucked. I felt bad, blah, blah, blah. And you go, okay, how long did you do it? Oh, 3 days, and 3 days in, it was horrible. And I'm like, 3 days, you barely farted. I mean, come on. And the same with fasting. You get through 2-3 days and then you stop. No, get through 2-3 days and go. That's what I want to encourage people with this is I'm admitting up front. Those of you that have only done intermittent fasting, it's going to be really hard. Come 48 hours in, maybe up to 72 hours in. But it's the beyond 72. I want you, if nothing else, I just want you to get to that point in the fast so you can see what this crazy Jimmy Moore is talking about. Because at the end of the day, you're doing this for yourself, for your health, and you want to experience what it's like. You've not really experienced the extended fast and all the benefits that come from it and the great calmness that comes to your body. The great satiety. I know it sounds so weird thinking I'm not eating. How am I satiated? You're satiated by day 4. Your head is clear. In fact, I do some of my best thinking in the midst of doing a fast. Your brain will just become so sharp when you get deep into a fast like that. And so if you're just joining us, guys, we are talking about all of these excuses that people give for not trying a 7-day fast. And it's my contention, those people who make excuses are just simply not ready yet. And that's okay. Not everybody has to be ready to fast. And quite frankly, not everybody is gonna fast. I've got a good personal friend that she just refuses to fast. I can barely make it 16 to 18 hours, and that's all she does. And if that's what she does and she gets benefit out of it, then so be it. But I do think we should reassess from time to time. Where do I stand now? Because I think about when I was growing up, I hated Brussels sprouts. I hated asparagus. I hated all those things. And then when I became an adult, I begrudgingly tried them again and went, oh, wow, that tastes pretty good. So things change over time. And maybe you've tried fasting before and you had a bad experience. Well, now here with this water fasting challenge that I have issued this week, you've got a grand opportunity to not just try fasting again, but try it with someone that you know, that's me. And I'll be here throughout the fast, twice daily, coming on Instagram Live, doing these Jimmy rants to give you encouragement, to talk you off the ledge, to share some of my experiences. And of course, I have a leg up on all you guys because I've been fasting for a long time. 7 days I don't see as a long fast. I've done 321-day ones before. 7's a good length of time. I think 3 is too short. 5 is probably okay, but 7's kind of that sweet spot nirvana if you're going to do an extended fast. All right, so hunger was the big one that came up. Another one that came up as an excuse as to why people can't do this is, well, I have to cook for my family, and if I'm cooking for my family, I have to eat. Why? Why is that an excuse? When I'm in the midst of my fasting periods, I'm cooking Christine her bacon. I am. Does it smell good? Of course. But am I tempted? Not in the least, and I'll tell you why. I think when you set a goal like I'm going to fast for 7 days, you're not going to let anything stand in the middle of you and that goal. And I think anything that comes between you and your goals that you've set for yourself, that's a mindset thing. You've got to go ahead and preempt that. Just know now there's going to be stuff that will come up in the midst of this 7 days that's going to look like it's something that could sabotage you. Just know that's going to happen. And if you know that ahead of time, then when it happens, then you can work around it. And I mentioned this yesterday as well. There are going to be probably moments when you might have something stressful happen. So maybe a kid comes in and their knee is all skin up and you're distraught over that. Maybe you get, and I've had this happen in the middle of a fast, maybe you get a phone call from someone and it's very disturbing and it gets you upset. So anything that's going to be a stressor in the body in the middle of an extended fast, just know you're going to feel it really fast. Because what happens is all the cortisol raises your blood sugar, raises your insulin, and then that's what stokes hunger. So if you suddenly have huge bouts of hunger, I'm going to encourage you now, figure out how you're going to deal with that. If it means that you slow down and you go, and just take those deep breaths in the middle of it, you'll find that hunger will probably go away. And so that's a big, big excuse that people are giving as to why they can't do an extended fast like this. I mean, there's all kind of myriad of excuses that I've heard, and none of them really are satisfactory in my opinion. Does that mean I think everybody should be extended fasting? No. But I think if you're very well keto adapted and you've never tried anything like this before, it's a good assessment of where you stand. And I think and we put this in my book, Keto Clarity, one of the best ways to judge what we call your keto fitness level is your ability to fast without even thinking about it. Because when you're well fat adapted and your body is running very efficiently on fat for fuel, you should be able to fast quite easily. And obviously, intermittently, you could do it. But I think you push your body a little further. You give your body that chance to have a break. Your pancreas doesn't have to work as hard. Your inflammation can come down. Your blood pressure can come down. You just basically get a great reset in your entire body. You produce autophagy after 72 hours, complete turning over of all the cells. You just calm down all of those systems in the body. The digestive system gets better. And my digestion's going really great going into this fast. So I'm really happy about that. Not much to clean up there. So it's going to be really, really fascinating in the midst of this to see how it goes. All right, I want to see what you guys have to say. What are some of those excuses that you yourself, or maybe people that you've heard talking about fasting for 7 days, what are the excuses that people are bringing to the table, because I want to address all of those here today. Berkeley wants to know, can you drink plain Perrier? Yeah, that's water. So Perrier is just bubbly water, so that's water. All right, Beth says, I have a few excuses. Here we go. But I catch myself and I twist it and ask, what can I do to make the excuse a reason? Ooh. All right, but now I'm curious now, Beth, what are the excuses that you do tell yourself about why you would not do a 7-day fast? I'd be really curious to see what's popping in your head. Caption KC that says, the biggest excuse that I've gotten from people is I'm going to ruin my metabolism. This doesn't make any sense to me at all. Ruining your metabolism. What you are doing for your metabolism in the midst of an all-out fast is incredibly beneficial. You want to know what ruins your metabolism the most? What slows down your metabolism? It's not eating no food at all. It's under eating calories. So when you allow your body to get into a hypocaloric state, which means you are eating, but you're not eating enough for your metabolic needs, then your body's going to adjust to that by slowing down your metabolism. But something really fascinating happens when you go through periods of not eating at all, which is why we're doing a water and salt only fast. When you don't introduce any calories at all, your body responds to that by making so many good metabolic things happen. The big things that happen is growth hormone is turned on, autophagy happens where you clean up the old cells. You obviously are giving your pancreas a break, so insulin goes down. Inflammation in the body, anything chronically in the body that has been inflamed, you start to heal that. If you have insulin resistance, which is the big reason I do extended fasting, it helps to heal some of that. You get cleaning up of the gut health. There's just so many good things that happen. And this statement of, I'll ruin my metabolism, is just born out of ignorance. There's really no evidence to state that you're ruining your metabolism. In fact, in the Complete Guide to Fasting, Dr. Jason Fung and I, we note a huge statistic that when you undereat calories, you significantly slow your metabolism. But when you eat 0 calories, guess what happens to your metabolism? It is revved up by 12%. Seems so counterintuitive, right? You would think eating 500, 600 calories is far better than eating 0 calories, but you would be wrong. Because when you fully fast, you get a revving up of the metabolism. And I want you guys that are doing this water fasting challenge with me, I want you to cling tight to that. This is why you don't need bone broth. This is why you don't need kombucha. This is why you want to do it with water and salt. And some of you want your black coffee, that's fine too. If you want your bubbly water, that's fine too. But the purpose of not eating any food at all is you want that revving up of the metabolism so that when you start eating again and ostensibly eating ketogenic foods, that revving up of the metabolism is going to keep those benefits rolling when you start eating again. Gets exciting when you start thinking of it in those terms. Shirley says, I told my husband that he should try fasting. He's afraid he would go hypoglycemic. I'm pretty sure I'd actually help him, or it would actually help him, but he's not listening. So I addressed this in the myths yesterday. We went over all the myths of fasting in the Complete Guide to Fasting, and one of the myths is that you have low blood sugar. Here's what happens. When you go on a fast, you're not eating any food at all. Let's say you start and your blood sugar when you start the fast is 90, okay? Pretty good blood sugar. So you go through day 1, you haven't eaten anything, it probably goes down to 85. Day 2, your blood sugar starts to go down a little bit more, maybe it's down to 80, 78. Day 3, you not only see a huge drop in your blood sugar, but you see a commensurate increase in your blood ketones. This is all completely normal. Had a lady write me today, I did a 66-hour fast and my blood sugar went all the way down to 74. I'm worried. I feel fine, but I'm worried. What the heck are you worried about? 74 is completely natural. She's almost 3 days into a fast. completely natural. And I want you to realize that the number on a blood glucose meter in the midst of a fast is not something to be concerned about. I've seen people 4 or 5 days into a fast, they're already below 50 on their blood sugar. And of course, people see an absolute number like that. Oh my gosh, this is unhealthy. I'm hypoglycemic. Are you symptomatic of hypoglycemia? No. Then why are you worried? And I talked about this a lot yesterday morning, talking about the myths. When your blood sugar goes down like that, look at your blood ketones. Because what you're seeing is as the blood sugar goes down, the blood ketones go up. Those blood ketones are kind of stepping in the place of where the blood sugar was. Your glucose requirements when you're fasting is so minimal that you don't need a whole lot of glucose floating around in your blood. So if you're pricking your finger and you see a 54 and you feel great and your blood ketones are 4.5, you've just got to know, you've got to factor in that those ketones are giving you energy in the absence of the need for glucose. Does that make sense, guys? And I don't want anybody to get like Shirley's husband to think, well, I'm going to get hypoglycemic. No, you won't. It doesn't happen. The only way it would happen is if you're in the midst of the fast and you have something externally that would raise insulin levels. And so if you raise insulin levels on an empty stomach, raise insulin levels because you got stressed, then hypoglycemia could kick in. And that would be something that you have to deal with by eating. You just would end the fast. But that would be the only circumstance where hypoglycemia would come into play. And I'm excited to get on camera, you guys, to talk with you guys in real time as we're going through this. Starting Friday, July 5th, by the way, if you're just finding out, we are going to be doing this 7 days of fasting. And technically, it's after your meal tomorrow. So the 4th of July, load up on the barbecue and the hamburgers and be ready. When that meal's over is when your fast will officially begin. So, sorry, Shirley, that he believes that and he's not listening to you, but it's simply not true. Val says, I agree with you. If you have to make any excuse for not doing this, then you're not ready yet. This is a voluntary thing. No one's telling you you have to do it. And as you have said before, we're in charge of our own body. Yeah, that's right. Because people also, the excuse they give for not doing it, well, it's an eating disorder to not eat for a period of time. I'm like, no. What we do as Americans eating all that crappy garbage, that's the eating disorder. Can I get a witness, anyone? That to me is so incredibly odd why we would put our bodies through that experience of eating what I call food-like disease agents known as crappy garbage. That's not normal. Someone not eating is doing far more good for their health than all those people who eat crappy garbage combined ever will. Can we be clear about that? Can we just say bluntly that the way we've been doing things that have gotten us obese and sick requires us to do things like extended fasting? And I don't want anybody to ever forget, ancestrally, we have the same bodies today as 10,000 years ago when our hunter-gatherer ancestors were around. And ancestrally speaking, they went through regular periods of fasting, not just intermittently on a daily basis, but extended. Between animal kills, there could have been 7, 10, 14 days before they get another animal. How do they have the energy to get through that when they're in a fasted state? They're able to survive, and not just survive, but thrive. And they didn't have obesity. They didn't have chronic disease. None of that was a regular part of their lifestyle. We have the same DNA. We have the same genetics. And all we have to do is start implementing some of these same strategies that our hunter-gatherer ancestors did. And that includes periods of extended fasting. Carnivore Yogi says, I'm a yoga teacher and I do extended fasting sometimes. Yes, you're joining us on this one. Thank you for that. Val says, I've already started this morning. Going to see how far I can go. That's awesome, Val. Caden says, thanks for making day 2, 3 on the weekend so we can unstress during the hard parts. Yes, that's true. That was dumb luck, Caden. I didn't mean to do it that way, but if it worked out that way, it sure did work out that way, didn't it? Beth says, I'm pretty excited. I'm also scared, but I'm looking forward to all of the NSVs and mental highs. Yes. Miss Chris says, I'm terrified of fasting for that long. Can we dig deeper on that? I hope you're still around. Can we dig deeper on why, Chris, you are terrified of fasting for 7 days? What are the fears? Can we explore that further? That's what I'm trying to get at in this video here today about the excuses people have for not doing 7 days. Just saying you're terrified doesn't tell me why you're terrified. So can you share a little bit more? Caden says starting at 5 p.m. tomorrow, so I can set off a standard 5 to 10 p.m. meal, the coming off the fast per fasting all-star Bert Herring's daily protocol. Excellent. Beth says the group thing is a mindset, a cheerleader, but I will be reminding myself of all the whys. I have a lot of whys. Yeah, we all have our whys, that's for sure. Caden says, I think it'll be okay with just salt if I'm stressed. I dislocated my knee last night. Sorry about that, dude. Wow. The only painkiller we had on hand was pink rock salt. It worked well, so I could push my knee back in. Oh, dude, you're killing me, man. If I just dislocated my knee, I don't think I'd be fasting anytime soon. Amy says, I'm definitely feeling those excuses coming on, but I love fasting, telling my body no, so I'm doing it for sure. I love working out, so that's my only worry, that I won't have as much energy. Well, Amy, we addressed that one yesterday. Somebody said, well, the excuse is, well, I just want to work out, and I couldn't do it if I'm fasting. And again, I'm going to reiterate this again and again. When you are fasting, you got to think of it as rehabbing a part of your body. So when you go to a physical therapist and you're rehabbing like an arm that you had surgery on, you're going to be gentle with it, and you're not going to go to the gym and work out, right? So you've got to look at fasting in the same way. You are going through physical therapy for your metabolism. And if it means you lay aside your exercise routine for this very short period of time, 7 days is not long. If you lay that aside for 7 days and allow your body to heal, then you get back to the gym, you're going to be amazingly stronger. You're going to be able to set new records. It's going to be amazing. And I just say that's my best edification. Now, if you want to do some light exercise, mow the grass, take a walk, take a yoga class, that kind of thing, so be it. But don't go full out in the gym on day 3 of your 7-day fast, very glycolytically demanding heavy lifting session, and then expect your body not to react physiologically. Your body is going to scream at you to give it energy, because you need that energy to help in the repair process from all that tearing down of the muscle that you did during your exercise. So I say put aside the exercise just for this 7 days, very short period of time, and then hit it hard when you go back to eating again. Kathleen says, thanks for doing these. It will make it so much easier to fast with your buddies. Yes, we got a lot of buddies here. A lot of people doing this fast right now, coming up, starting on Friday. We're going to all be here together, and I'm in it with you too, guys. I've done a lot of fasts, but fasts are still a fast. And I'll share with you the struggles maybe that I'm experiencing, and then give you encouragement in the struggles that you're experiencing. Mom Gone Keto says, I've never fasted for that long, and that's okay. Most of the people, of those 1,800 plus people that have signed up so far to do this, most of them, the most they've ever done is intermittent fasting, 16 to 24 hours. Most of them have never pushed it past 24 hours. So this is going to be a brand new experience for a lot of people. But I think because you've never done it before is not a good excuse. I think what you do is you set the goal. It's kind of like when you set a goal weight. I'm going to lose 50 pounds. So if you only lose 42, were you a failure? If you only lost 31, were you a failure? Nope. You succeeded in reaching a goal because you shot for a big goal. And so I want you guys to shoot for a big goal this week. It's 7 days of not eating food and having water and salt and electrolytes. That's the goal this week. If you make it 4 and the most you'd ever gone before was 24 hours, you just went 4 times longer than you've ever fasted before. Celebrate that. Would I love for a lot of you guys to see 7? Absolutely. But I realize this is a process, and you're building a muscle. You're building up your fasting muscle. And you got to think of it in that way. You won't build your muscles in the gym overnight. It takes time and repeated practice over and over and over again. For some of you, that's what doing these fasts are going to be. This time you go 24 hours. Next time you go 48 hours. That time after that, you go 72 hours. And then you work your way up. And I think because I've done 21 days so many times now, 7 just seems so short. Isn't it funny how your perspective changes? I used to think 7 was ungodly long, and now 7 is super duper easy, 5 to 7 days. Unbelievably short and easy. Your perspective changes the more you do this. E. Lund says, I'll worry I'll fail at 2 to 3 days. I just addressed that. If you've never made it 2 to 3 days before, and you go all the way to, say, 72 hours, and then you're like, okay, that's enough, you need to celebrate you hit 72. I don't want anybody to feel guilty. Well, Jimmy laid down the gauntlet for doing 7 days and I only made it 72 hours. Come on, guys. Keep the perspective. And there's no shame here. We're all cheering each other on. That's why we're doing this corporately, publicly together, is because I want everyone to be able to experience and get to the point where I am right now, where fasting becomes really easy. And remember, I'm doing this to prepare myself for when I'm away on sabbatical for 6 months. Starting September 1, I'm going to do a strategy of alternating weeks of fasting with weeks of eating. And so I'm going to be doing 7 days every other week for the indefinite future when I start my sabbatical, because I'm really going to step up my efforts to try to heal my body. And I think this will be an interesting strategy for me to try. So you guys are giving me practice of doing this now so that when I get on it, hopefully I'm ready to rock and roll. Cookie says, I keep hearing from people that I'm starving myself. No, you're not. You're starving yourself when you undereat calories. That is what starves you. And a real eating disorder of people who have anorexia, that's not healthy. Those people that have that kind of an eating disorder, here is the biggest difference between them and someone who's doing an extended fast. It's all about control. When someone has an eating disorder, they can't control what they're doing. So thus, there's food availability, and they are simply not able to eat it because they have so gotten into this disease, this mental eating disorder disease, that they won't allow themselves to eat. You, on the other hand, as someone who's choosing to do a 7-day fast, the opportunity is there for you to eat at any time. You are choosing not to eat, and if at some point you physiologically need to start eating again, you have complete control to start doing that. And you will. Whether it's at the end of 7 days, the end of 3 days, you're going to make that choice at some point that you simply can't go any further, and then you eat, okay? So I don't want anybody to think that this is some kind of an eating disorder, and I've heard that before, or that you're starving yourself. You're doing far better things for your body not eating any food at all than if you ate a little bit of food. Because somebody said, well, just cut back. Well, when you cut back, that's when you have the slowing of the metabolism. That's when you're under eating calories and your body screaming at you that you need to be eating more food, because you do. When you're fasting, you need to be fasting, and that means 0 calories. Water and salt helps you accomplish that. When you are feasting, you need to feast, which means you don't need to undereat calories. Get that minimal amount of calories that's right for you. There's all kind of calculators online to figure out what that is for you. For me, it's right around 21 to 2,300 calories a day when I am eating. But when I'm fasting, it's a big fat 0. And by design. I'm not starving myself. Miss Chris says, I start feeling a little weak around 3 o'clock every day. I intermittent fast 24 hours and eat OMAD. I add salt to my coffee during the day. Yeah, and I mean, I don't know what feeling weak means. There are those fleeting moments that come and go of hunger during any fast, whether it's an OMAD fast, which is 1 meal a day, or some of this extended fasting. You get through it. And definitely, guys, the elixir, I'm going to keep repeating, This Redmond's real salt, or whatever salt you choose to use, this is your elixir for overcoming those periods of weakness and fatigue, hunger, all of those things that come on during the course of a fast that people are worried about. Usually they can be mitigated with salt and water and maybe some electrolyte supplements like these little fasting drops from Keto Chow. All of these things, you guys, are tools that are going to help you. But the biggest tool is right there. The biggest tool that you're gonna have to remind yourself of often is that you're doing this for a bigger purpose. And if all you do is obsess and think about the food that you want in the midst of the fast, you're just going to psych yourself out. Most of fasting is mental. Most of the people who fail to succeed doing a fast, they fail because they've already talked themselves into failing. Can I just encourage you, if you're going to be joining me on this 7-day water fasting challenge, to prepare your mind that you are going to succeed. It's one reason I'm coming on Jimmy Rants so strongly every single day, talking just about fasting all this week. And then in the midst of the fast, I'll be on here as well. I don't need you to talk yourself out of it. Everybody else is going to try to do that for you. They're making the excuses for you as to why you should not be doing this. I'm going to be here to encourage you and to uplift you and to give you information and to walk you off the ledge when you feel like things are too much. And at the end of the day, you're going to have to come down to, in your own mind, okay, why am I doing this? And if you have your why, then you have all the reasons why you will be successful doing this. Mom Gone Keto says, I'm still nursing a 1-year-old, too hard to fast well while still feeding the kids. Yeah, that's probably a case where it's probably smart, if you're not already used to doing fasting, to wait until you're done nursing. So that's fine, Mom Gone Keto. But when you're ready, all of these videos that we're doing here on Jimmy Rants hopefully will be an encouragement to you as you start your own fasting down the road. Caption KC says, I love that idea of stoking growth hormone. It's something a lot of people don't think about. Between the stoking of the growth hormone, the revving up of your metabolism, and the autophagy benefits that come from doing these extended fasts, those 3 things alone, you guys, are just phenomenal. By the way, speaking of autophagy, today's episode of the Livin' La Vida Low Carb Show, I have the author of a book called Metabolic Autophagy. His name is Seam Land, and Seam has done his homework when it comes to autophagy. And yes, it's a cleaning up of the cells in the body, but listen to that interview on the Livin' La Vida Low Carb Show, wherever you listen to podcasts, when it airs later today, because he gets into all of these positive effects in your health that come from allowing that autophagy to take place. So that's what you're doing this 7-day fast. You're getting great autophagy benefits, which then has such great benefits on your total health. So don't miss that. Cookie says, I did notice that I have issues with my stomach sometimes, meaning I can't get out of the bathroom. Are you talking about in the midst of a fast? And that's normal too, especially as your body is dumping a lot of things. It can dump it out the stool, obviously out the urine. And that's going to be normal. We're going to get into some of that stuff once we get going with the fasting. I'm learning so much from these rants. Well, I'm glad you're here, DK Zab. Thanks for watching. I just did a 3-day fast, says Lisa. Is it okay to fast again in such a short amount of time? If you just did a 3-day fast, I don't know what just means. Was just a month ago? If just was a month ago, then yes. If just was a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, then no. I would say if you've done a 3-day fast, I'm sorry, you said last week. So yeah, too soon. You don't want to do it that quickly after doing a 3-day fast. 3-day fast, you could probably fast again in 2 weeks. Yeah, so hopefully that helps you out. You guys said the video froze. Sorry about that, guys. I wonder if it's my Wi-Fi. Let's see. I tend to overeat on the weekend, so I'm excited to do it on the weekend at the minimum, says Amy. Excellent. All right, so Miss Chris says, what about that feeling of being weak and dizzy? That is called electrolyte imbalance. So if your electrolytes are not imbalanced, you're not going to see all of the benefits that you want from fasting. And so I think what you want to do in that case is to make sure you're getting plenty of salt. And a lot of people, how much salt? I'm like, that's going to depend on how you feel. If you're not getting benefits out of this, then you need to maximize those benefits. And that's where salt and water comes into play. So feeling weak, feeling dizzy, it's not a manifestation necessarily of the fasting in and of itself. It's a manifestation of not properly hydrating and not properly salting in the midst of it. I don't think we realize, because salt has been so vindicated, just how much our body requires salt to function well. And if you start having a physiological response of feeling weak and dizzy and hungry and all these things, it means you haven't salted enough. So I want to challenge you guys. Salt, and salt some more in the midst of this fast. I think you'll be surprised how much it will help. Liz says, I found a fellow faster and we only knew because I mentioned I was extended fasting a while back, but it almost felt like an underground movement after acknowledging the fact. Yeah, that it is funny. And it's almost like you don't want other people to know because of all these excuses they throw at you as to why you should not do one. I never fasted more than 24 hours. I usually do one meal a day, says Chris. She says, I feel weak and foggy-headed. I have autoimmune thyroid disease. Is this safe? Well, the safety of it is a whole nother question. That's something that your doctor and you will have to talk about. But in general, for anybody dealing with any chronic illness, type 2 diabetes, you name the chronic illness, autoimmune diseases like you have, there are so many great benefits that come from it that I don't think, well, because I have said disease, that means I automatically can't do fasting. And that's a big excuse I've heard a lot as well. And perhaps there is some element of truth to it for certain people. But I don't want you to say, well, I have type 2 diabetes, I can't fast. No, if you have type 2 diabetes, we have a whole chapter in the Complete Guide to Fasting as to how you can fast and fast well and see great benefits in your diabetes. Martha says, I'm not going to tell anybody. Yeah, that's a smart idea. I mentioned that as a suggestion in the do's and don'ts video that I did the other day. Don't tell people you're fasting because you're just going to open it up to a can of worms for them to pile on all these excuses that we're talking about here today. Fat is Fat says, cutting back to 1 cup of black coffee a day this week. Going to eliminate it completely on the 7-day fast. Makes me nervous about cutting coffee. More nervous about cutting out coffee than fasting itself. So, I mean, and black coffee came up a lot yesterday. If you want your black coffee, drink your black coffee. Just know the caveat is if you start having issues, it could be the caffeine in the coffee and not the fasting itself. Karen says, I've done several 5-day fasts, usually I quit just because I'm bored. Hope having the encouragement here will get me through 7 days. Well, yeah, I mean, this is where when you get to redeem the time because you have extra time, because you're not cooking and cleaning and eating and all the time that it takes to do that, I say you now think about right now how you're going to allocate that extra time and what you're going to do when you're in those circumstances when you feel bored. I for one, don't know what that feels like because I'm so incredibly busy in all my work that I do all the time that I'm never bored. But figure out a way to acquiesce that boredom. Robin says, for the vast majority of us, it's 100% mindset. That's right. It is. We psych ourselves out so much. And if we could just get out of our own way, we would succeed. Fasting is more mental than it is physical. People want to make it physical. I'm hungry. I don't feel well. I feel dizzy. I this, I that, and all these physical manifestations. But when it comes down to brass tacks, it's right there in your head. All of that chatter that's going on. It's one reason I wanted to do this Jimmy Rants here today. There's so many excuses we tell ourselves. And I know In the back of your mind, you've got all those doubts. You've got all those things popping in your head as to why you should not be doing this 7-day fast. And I want you to know, none of them are really that valid. Most of them are just mind games you're playing with yourself. And then it doesn't help when you have physical people telling you all of these same excuses that you yourself are already thinking about. Let them go. You embraced keto. Most of you did that follow my stuff. You embraced keto. Why? It runs counter to conventional wisdom. Eat more fat. Eat less carbs. That's not traditional, but you buck the trend. Why? Think about that. Now apply it to fasting. What are all the trends and all the excuses people give for why you shouldn't fast? Buck that trend. Realize that there's a better way. And see, all those people that give you the excuses, they would never try this for themselves. And they'll never get the benefits for themselves of what it's like to go on a complete fast of water and salt only. Why don't you be the leader in that? Why don't you be the example to show them, hey, look, I did this. I survived. I thrived. Here's the good things that happened. Somebody's got to buck the trend in your circle of friends. And why can't it be you? Yay, finally got you live. My worst day of 7-day fast is day 6. Oh, that's interesting, K. Gonzales. I start to cave in because I say I'm almost done and I might as well just eat. The anxiety of it ending, that's a great point. The anxiety of it ending and the excitement that you get. I know when we have this set amount of time and you know on day 6 that tomorrow you get to eat, and day 7, and you basically increase your stress. And that raises cortisol, raises blood sugar, raises insulin, and raises your hunger hormones, ghrelin. You don't want that. That's not good. I say you just take it all in stride and say, okay, let's see how long I can not eat, just to see. And then there's no pressure of, well, it's 7 days and tomorrow it's day 6 and tomorrow I eat. No, if that you know ahead of time is already messing with your head, don't put a time limit on it. Now, obviously, eventually you're going to eat again. But I think if that's what's stressing you out to make you want to eat on day 6, then tell yourself you're going to do an indefinite fast until it's time to end. Would you make it past day 6? You probably would. Chris says I need to balance my electrolytes better. I bought some of the Redmon's real salt and put it in every cup of coffee. Yes. Shirley says, I've only gone 48 hours before, but when I hit that mark, I felt like I couldn't go longer. The only thing that stopped me was that delicious steak I bought that I was going to break my fast with. And that's another thing. A lot of you guys probably on the 6th day of the fast are going to be like, okay, I need to prepare and have some food on hand for breaking the fast. And if you obsess and dream about that food that you've bought for yourself to end the fast with, yeah, that could be a saboteur. So just be aware of that. Miss Chris says, will salt and keto electrolytes be enough supplements during the fast? I'm not taking any other supplements during the fast. Number one, a lot of supplementation, and you got to keep in mind, are in pill form. So if you have to take pills, guess what? Your body has to digest those pills. And so if you're not eating food and you've slowed down the blood flow to your stomach, and then you take these vitamins, then your body has to try to metabolize those to break them down to get all that out of there. Don't do that to yourself. You will make yourself sick, and your body will think it's getting nutrients from food, and it'll start making you hungry. So that's why salt from the Redmon's real salt is going to be so critical, because it goes right into the bloodstream. And same with these liquid, this is a liquid, fasting drops from Keto Chow. All of these things are going to be much easier to digest. I'm very concerned about putting like a multivitamin in pill form into an empty stomach during a fast. So I'm foregoing all of my supplementation just for the 7 days. And then when I'm back eating again, I'll take the supplements again. That's how you do it. So guys, the bottom line in this Jimmy Rants is you're going to hear a lot of excuses as to why trying a 7-day fast is a bad idea. And to me, all of those excuses are merely an indication of why those people that say those excuses simply aren't ready to take their health to the next level yet. That's it for this episode of Jimmy Rants. JimmyRants.com is the website. As always, go engage live over on Instagram Live. I'm at Living Low Carb Man, LIVINLOWCARBMAN. Hey, Jordan, I just see you just got here. Go back and watch this one, Jordan, because it was a goodie about all the excuses people make for not doing 7 days of fasting. If you missed the live, you can watch the replay for up to 24 hours. After 24 hours, pop on over to YouTube. That's where we have all of the past episodes of Jimmy Rants archived. Just put in a keyword, Jimmy Rants. You will find the show. Also, subscribe there. I've picked up quite a few new subscribers in the midst of this fast, and I'd love to have you guys subscribing there as well. So I'm Living Low Carb Man there. So basically type in youtube.com/Living Low Carb Man. Finally, the best of the best moments of this here show is in podcast form. It's the Jimmy Rants podcast on Apple Podcasts as well as Stitcher. All of these links, you guys, are at jimmyrants.com. So until next time, we'll see you then.